The call for a new humanistic vision for America. What is happening to America? On the one side, we have the impact of Sharia law on our society. On the other side, we have the impact the strident Israel firsters are having on our society, like Mike Huckabee and Marco Rubio and their big sugar daddy backers who are turning our politicians into puppets. We have the neocons who have given us a mammoth, unaccountable intelligence industrial complex, trashed the Bill of Rights, and want us marching in unison to a new world order run by the elites and international corporations. There is an alternative, an Erich Fromm type of humanistic society. What would it be like? It would exchange politically correct Stepford America for an America of the Enlightenment, which respected individual rights, had a comeback of the Bill of Rights. A humanistic America would be one which would reform our educational system from a mass educational system that turns out sheep who gang stalk their fellow citizens at the request of our authoritarian, lawless government, to one that helps people to unfold their individuality, people with a solid sense of self, who thought for themselves, who demanded to make their own decisions on most issues, who could separate their emotional system from their intellectual system, and would not be led by fear through a ring in their nose, but instead who were guided by principles, values they had spent a long time thinking about, people who would call themselves libertarians on the right or left libertarians. A humanistic America would be emotionally intelligent, guided by a new myth, a psychological myth, a new paradigm, informed by systems thinking, not guided by classical physics, which sees the world as divided into constituent parts, but rather guided by relativity and quantum physics, which sees the world as undivided wholeness, where the observer and what was observed are no longer considered as existing separately from each other. Such a world would understand the intersubjective influence we have on each other and would not talk about the war on terror, which had people who wear white hats and people who wear black hats, but rather would talk in a systems thinking way, which understood how things within the system are influencing each other within a complete interrelated whole. A humanistic society with humanistic and existential psychology as its myth narrative would be a conscious society, which saw many of the evils in society as due to unconsciousness, the unvalidated or repressed unconscious, which produced false selves. Unconscious selves, the evil people, people without introspection, who didn't know themselves and projected their shadow, part selves, on other people, on other groups, who scapegoated others, as was done to the Jews in Hitler's Germany. A humanistic society would be a transparent society. There wouldn't be secret law and secret agreements devised in secret, and an intelligence industrial complex that violated human rights with programs like government gang stalking, a repetition of COINTELPRO in the McCarthy era. A humanistic society would have a vibrant, free press, not the court jesters that are our press now, that are quick to tell us about a book that said that a presidential candidate raped his wife and keep hidden from the American people a vicious gang stalking Stasi because there would be hell to pay from our authoritarian government moving in a totalitarian direction if it were revealed. A humanistic society would be one concerned about peace and conflict resolution and looking to scientific research about those we call terrorists for how to make that happen. It would make rational decisions, decisions guided by reason, not decisions decided by corporatism or greed or irrational, overblown fear. A humanistic society would be a courageous society of individuals, not a Stepford society that said repeatedly, say you're sorry, be politically correct, join in the prevalent groupthink. A humanistic society would understand how to achieve conflict resolution. It wouldn't have solely materialistic values. What's the GNP? How much growth are we achieving? At the expense of the integrity of the planet. It wouldn't be a society of hunters and killers and continuous war like the U.S., who makes war with Iraq because it thinks it can beat it quickly, who has people who lure lions out of a nature preserve so Cecil's head can stare over them from their den wall. It would be an I vow society who didn't demonize enemies and call their dead collateral damage, who respected all of nature and its rights to run wild and free, because that society wasn't caged in a politically correct cage dominated by fear and greed and unconsciousness and propaganda. The American people are sick of the status quo Washington politicians. On the left, they are gravitating to Bernie Sanders, who calls the American oligarchy what it is. On the right, they are gravitating to Donald Trump, who doesn't talk in Washington BS speak, who isn't a puppet like our normal politicians of corporate America and rich sugar daddies with a personal agenda to foist on the American people. We call ourselves the land of the free, but only the fools among us still think we are free. It is time to envision what a free society would really be like and to pursue that vision with all our might. Freedom from unconsciousness is what psychology, humanistic existential psychology, is all about.